All right, so we are going to factor polynomials. We are going to do lots of factoring because we really need to practice our factoring. So first of all, anytime we are factoring, what should we look for first? Okay, standard form does help, but anytime we're factoring, we should try to factor out a common factor. Always look for a GCF first. Okay, always look for a GCF first. So in that very first example there, number one, you have 6n cubed plus 18n squared plus 12n. What do all three of those terms have in common? 6 and n. Okay, so when we factor out a 6n from each term, we are left with n squared plus 3n plus 2. After we take out the GCF, then we need to ask ourselves, well, can we factor this a little bit further? And we can. Okay, two sets of parentheses. N times n gives us n squared. The 2 is positive, so that means we have the same signs. The 3 is positive, so that means they're both positive. What multiplies to give us 2 and adds to give us 3? 2 and 1. Do yourself a favor. Anytime you factor, multiply it out real quick and make sure that you get the expression that was in the previous line. Okay, when you multiply n times n, you get n squared. The outside is 1n, the inside is 2n. Put those together, you get the 3n. And then 2 times 1 is 2. All right? Always check your factoring by multiplying it back out. Okay, let's look at number 2. What did those three terms have in common? It's not 14, right? 2, they are all even. Okay, so we can take out a 2. The only other thing that I would ask myself, the other factor of 14 is 7, but 100 is not divisible by 7, so it is 2. But anytime that leading coefficient is negative, we want to take out a negative. Okay, so we're going to take out a negative. This time there was not a variable as a part of our GCF, so we're only factoring out a negative 2. So when we take out a negative 2, we're left with 7v squared. 100 divided by negative 2 is negative 50v, and negative 14 divided by negative 2 is positive 7. I factored something out. I can check it by multiplying it back out. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. Negative 2 times negative 50 is positive 100. Negative 2 times positive 7 is negative 14. Especially when you're factoring out a negative, I suggest that you check your factoring. All right, so this will factor again. So 7v times v gives us 7v squared. This time, the last term is positive, so we still have the same signs, but the 50 was negative, so that means they're both negative. Now, when you look at this, we got to think of what are two things that multiply to give us 7, but they themselves do not add to give us 50, okay? Because one of them is going to get multiplied by the 7 over here. So the good thing is 7 only has one set of factors, right? 7 times 1 is the only thing that's going to multiply to give you 7. So the question is, does the 1 come first or does the 7 come first? The 1 needs to come first with the way that I have my parentheses set up because I need the 7 to be multiplied by the 7 to give me 49. And then the 1b right here, the 49 and the 1 are going to combine to give the 50. Okay? So that is how that expression factors. All right, let's look at number 3. 40v cubed minus 36v squared minus 36v. So what's the GCF here? 4v. Okay, they all have a variable, so we need to pull out the 4v. So when we factor out a 4v, we're left with 10v squared minus 9v minus 9. Okay. And I always look, anytime I pull out a GCF, I always check this right here. I check my trinomial that's left and see, okay, do they have anything in common? Did I truly get the greatest common factor, or did I just get a common factor? All right, let's try and factor what we're left with, that trinomial there. This time for 10b squared, we've got a choice. Okay, there are two factors that will give us 10. We've got 5 and 2, and we've got 10 and 1. Usually, I start with the 5 and the 2. I usually start with the ones that are a little bit closer together. So if I've got 5b times 2b to give me 10b squared, factors of 9, I've got 9 and 1, and I've got 3 and 3. So if I put 3 here and 3 here, the 9 was negative. So one of my signs is going to be a negative, one of my signs is going to be a positive. So let's see here. Let's look at what we've got right now. I've got 6b on the inside, and I've got 15b on the outside. If one of those is negative and one of them is positive, can I get a negative 9b for my middle term? Yes. Which one needs to be which? Okay, 15 needs to be negative, and the 6 needs to be, right? Negative 15 plus 6 is negative 9. So that means I need a minus here, and I need a plus there. Okay, and that's it. Okay, now let's do one where we've got two variables. Okay, we've got two variables because all that stuff was math 1 and math 2. We should have 1 through 3 pretty down pat. I just wanted to jog our memory of a few things there. What happens if we've got two variables? So first thing we always look for is a GCF. So 3, 14, and 80. Do they have a common factor? I don't think so. 14 and 80 are both even. 3 is not even, so 14 is not divisible by 3. So we're out there. How about variable-wise? Do they all have either an x or a y? No, all of them do not have it. We've got a mixture, but all of them don't. So we do not have a GCF in this problem right here. So let's just jump to, all right, it's a trinomial, so it's probably a binomial times another binomial. So let's just take it piece by piece. 3x squared. The only way we're going to get 3x squared is 3x times x. Okay, we've got 80y squared is our last term. Okay, 80y squared is our last term. So let's think about what are some things that will multiply to give us 80. 10 and 8, 40 and 2. Let's see here. How about 40 and 2? Probably not going to work for us, right? 40 and 2, because those are too far apart. We're not going to get 14. So how about 10 and 8? What if we put 10 here and 8 here, and we need a y with that because it was 80y squared. Each of them need a y. 10y times 8y is 80y. All right. Let's see here. So the outside right now, 3x times 8y is 24xy. The inside, 10y times x is 10xy. It was negative 80, so one of them's negative and one of them's positive, and we need to get a result of positive 14. So what do we need here? We need negative 10 and positive 24, so that means positive goes here and negative goes there. Okay, and that's it. Okay, I want to do a couple more like this to make sure we've got it. Number 5, 4a squared plus 7ab minus 36b squared. So, same question. Do they all have something in common? No. 4, 7, and 36 do not have a common factor. All of them don't have an a. All of them don't have a b. So let's go to 2 sets of parentheses. 4a squared, we've got a choice. It could be 2 and 2. It could be 4 and 1. I usually start with the 2 and 2. I may have to go back and punt, but usually it's the ones that are closer together, but not always. All right, 36. We got a bunch of choices for 36, don't we? 3 and 12, 9 and 4, 18 and 2. Let's see here. What do y'all think? What should we start with first? 6 and 6? Probably not 6 and 6, okay? 4 and 9, maybe? It's going to give us 8 and 18. That's not going to give us 7. Okay, and I know y'all don't like erasing things, but sometimes you're just, with these, you're going to have to do a little trial and error. All right, I'm thinking maybe it's not the 2 and 2. Okay, I'm thinking it's not the 2 and 2, so let's go back and change that part. Let's try 4 and 1. 4a times a. All right, so let's see here. 4a and a. 9 and 4. Let's try 9 and 4 again. Now, I know, here's how I know that the 9 needs to go here and the 4 needs to go here, if this is the right factor. Because if I put the 4 in the first set of parentheses, I would have a common factor here in the first set of parentheses. And I know that I didn't have a common factor to start with, so I shouldn't have a common factor within any of my sets of parentheses, okay? So let's see here. What do we have? We've got 16a on the outside. We have 9a on the inside. It's negative 36, so one's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. Positive 16, negative 9. That's going to give us positive 7. Okay, so sometimes it's just a little bit of trial and error, guys. I know y'all don't like it, but it is how it is. Okay, let's look at this last one, number 6. I know it's not the last one on paper, but the last one we're going to do in this little group. Okay, number 6, 27a squared b squared minus 267ab cubed plus 216b to the 4th. Okay, the easy part to notice of the GCF is what? They all have at least a b squared. So b squared is part of our GCF. Now, I would think with numbers of this size, chances are we've got a numerical GCF as well. The first thing I check is the smallest number. I'm going to see, well, is 27 a GCF? Okay, it's not. So then I go to its next highest factor, 9. 267 divided by 9. Well, that didn't work. Okay, and then we got 3. Okay, hopefully 3 works. Okay, 3 works for that one. Does 3 work for 216? Yes. Okay, so 3b squared is our GCF. So what are we left with? 9a squared minus 89ab plus 72b squared. Any questions about where I got any of that from? Okay, so let's factor. Let's see here, 9a squared. This time I'm going to start with the 9 and 1 because I got an 89 here in the middle. So I'm thinking it may be 9 and 1. 9a times a is 9a squared. 72b squared. So 72 is what? 9 times 8. 9 times 8. So if we have 9 here and 8 here, on the outside we've got 81ab, on the inside we have 8ab. The 72 was positive, so we have the same signs, and it's negative 89, so that means they're both minus. Negative 81 and negative 8 do add to give negative 89. So that is it.